Yeah, good morning, Jan. I'm recording this for you with regards to your post in our Facebook page there this morning. In it, here we go. You've put any thoughts on the fib extension target? The pink dotted lines. So it's these ones here. I'm thinking. Let me put that up bigger. Well, you think that'd get bigger, wouldn't you? Anyway, we're looking at what these fib extensions. So we're looking at a fib retracement and an extension down is what I'm understanding here, or how far down to here we're going to go. Ultimately bearish until it performs a role reversal. Well, I can't agree with you there. Now, okay, I'll get rid of this now. Let me push escape. Where is escape? There we go. So I'm just going to quick run down what I'm seeing. So here on the DAX, we've had a good run up, so that's a bullish run. Now we're looking for a reversal pattern. And what I see developing at this point in time, I think I covered this with you once before. I mean, this is a one-day chart. We've had the MAs are still bullish, but they are flattening out. You know, and are these about to turn over? The daily 100's down here. We haven't come back to check that daily 100 for a little while, so I'm sorry, the 200, daily 200 MA. So we could be heading down that way. Monthly pivots in this situation seem to be ignored. I don't see, well, there is a bit of a suggestion of respecting the monthly pivots up here, but that's further, I'll elaborate further on that directly with regards to my head and shoulder pattern here, which is what I'm getting to. So we've you know, the 21 and the 55 are seen to be rolling over a bit, although they have done in the past but then gone back up again. But all we can do is look for reversal patterns and trade what we see. So what I'm seeing here is a head and shoulders pattern developing here. I went through this before, I think, with you, and that is, I'll get rid of this. So I've got this pattern coming up, because after the big run up, what are we looking for if we're going to be bearish on the DAX? Is a reversal pattern. Reversal patterns, as we know, are double tops, head and shoulders, all that sort of thing. Now some may consider this to be a double top, kind of, which, you know, fine, they can do that. What I'm seeing is this. For me at this point in time, that's a resistance level, which didn't really become support, but is acting as resistance after a breakout. So we had a gap up here and a breakout up for a few days, but it's been down ever since. After 3 days of a breakout, tried to break higher, then it's just been down ever since. So here's our head and shoulders. Look at this, I've got an epic pen. How cool is that? So there's the one shoulder, there's the head, and there's the other shoulder. If I was going to draw this up, I showed you the way I like to draw these up, so I'm going to go from this shoulder here to that shoulder there. I'll go out further, get my extension done. There it is, and then I'll bring this across up to here, up to this neckline here, and wowza wowza, with the neckline corresponds really nicely. So we got the shoulders lining up very nicely, and the neckline working very sweetly. So after, as I said before, if we're looking at this of that long, of that good bull run up, hey, look, they moved. Where's that? I thought they'd stick with it, but anyway, you've got the idea anyway. If we, after this run up, we want a good reversal pattern and head and shoulders. So how good is that for a head and shoulders? In my view, I look at that and think, man, that's a pretty good head and shoulders. When we had that resistance, break, gap up, break, and like I said, it's been down ever since, straight through that resistance line, and then back up and tested it beautifully down to the next support resistance line, which is this level here. And then it's bounced up, which happens to be the neckline. Now, I don't know how much more perfect in many ways a head and shoulders can be. So, so that's what I'm looking at here. And what am I looking for other than that? So I'll go down to the 4 hours. So This is my trade plan, as I showed you one other time when we screen shared there the other day. I didn't quite get to that level, but the fact is when I put this line in, that's where the M3 was, up to there. But since then it went up, came back down, which dragged the M3 with it. So in fact, that's what I meant when I drew it in ahead of time. But as we know, they're dynamic. These pivots are dynamic this week, which is when I drew this in. So, you know, I can use a bit of artistic license there. So I got that pretty spot on. And there we go. So we've gone up, we've come back down, and that could have been an aggressive sell on, but it's not really, because I mean we've got come back down here to give us a support level, up to previous resistance, back down and back up to support. So that's just a typical roll reversal. That's as typical as it gets. So what am I looking through? I'm looking for a break below here. So looking for a sell offer here somewhere, possibly get back to the M3. I'm sorry, this weekly's pivot point, and then down to the take profit zone before I run back up, maybe the beginning of next month or the last few days of this month, because we have next week and then we got 3 days of trade before the end of the month and the following week. So we get a broken week on that week, so perhaps that might do it. So yeah, now with regards to your comments there regarding the fib levels, so I'm looking at this. So this was a fib level here. We can go from top to bottom there. So we went down here and we're back up to the 382 or the 50. Now the 382, especially when it's clean as that, would generally give us a target of the 1618 level, which happens to be this week's M1. So there you go, that's a very nice target. So with that in mind, what we'd be looking for is a sell in the sell zone. The old story, we don't have to go through it all that much. There's our sell zone. You know the whole story, how it all works. Let me get that. Come on. Not that one. I want this one. There. Rectangle properties. I'll go. That's a bit of a red. I'm looking for a sell there, so I'll go with that colour. Light pink. Is it the right colour? There we go. So I'm looking to sell on that region there. You know, so I'll be watching that support, back up, and looking for a sell. Now, what other level, fib level could we look at? We could look at this fib study here from there to there. Oops. So that's that top to that bottom. We've gone back to the 50% retracement. That would give us a sell down about this 1382 level here of that fib study, which is pretty much where we just said with the other fib study from there to there. So yes, in my view, and there was well, there's a 1618 from that fib study as well. So what we could say, if we come back up here and it shorts off the weekly pivot, which is the 1382 there level, this week's new weekly pivot there, which gives us a target pretty much of down here where we got a monthly M2 and the weekly S2. The monthly M2 and the weekly S2, and also the 1618 of this fib study, and in the region of the 1618 extension from this move here. Now, if I wanted to move this to go to there, well, it gets a bit more complicated. And how much do we want to do? How many fib studies do we want to do to get some sort of confirmation? Oh boy, this is really confusing. So now this is the 1382 extension. That's the pivot cluster down here. And I'm sure when the dailies come about, there will be a daily. Let me have a quick look here. This is way too many lines. Way too many lines. But that would give us. Where is that level? I know it's getting. Well, there's no daily pivot stuff there at this point. But we could, in the next few days, I would think there would take us down here. So fib levels, yes, absolutely. Head and shoulders, in my view, after that up, and I've been looking at it, it's setting up beautifully. I don't know how to get a more perfect head and shoulders set up, unless I don't know them. And I'm certainly no expert, but that's what I'm seeing. Now let's go back to the daily. Let's have a look at the. Come on, get rid of these. We've looked at that and we've decided that yes. And we've decided that that weekly target is a good target. So now we're going to do this. We'll draw this line here down to there, because I don't know if you're aware, but that's how you measure your head and shoulders level. So we'd be looking at this. So this is our level off that head and shoulders down to here. And this is the previous support resistance here. This level goes way back. That's a strong level. So you know, coming and look, there's that daily 200. So there we go. Everything's sort of coming together for that move. Now, is that it? No, I wouldn't think so. You know, my bias is for this to come down further. But at this point, we can work off this, look to work this pattern, and to see if we can get it down to here, selling off those areas that I said. I mean, this week to sell off that area up here that we just discussed up here, absolutely. I can see that, and that's my plan for this week. In the long run, if we get down to here, happy, joy, and then after that we'll look for another idea to come up and retrace it for next month's pivots or whatever. So that's my plan on that, and that's my commentary on that. Right, I guess I've bored you enough. Another thing to see here is this divergence here in the MACD, my Jimmy R MACD, strong divergence there. The Stokes is just at the bottom, which suggests it's oversold, but as we know, that can bounce along the bottom there for some period of time. There can be a lot of movement there. But it is worth noting, if it starts to move up, we'll keep an eye on that. So yeah, that's my story on it. Right, I'll shut down and post that for you. I think I've bored you enough. See ya. If I can find the off button, there it is.